Awesome.
All right, so I'm going to just start it off with my normal intro.
Okay.
What's going on, everybody? It's the Unemployed Rapper. Today, I have a special guest, my oldest brother, which this is why it's unique, is this is actually the first time we've ever actually sat down, just the two of us, and had a conversation.
Like in our whole lives.
In our entire lives.
In our whole lives. Yeah. There's a lot of story here. You're going to get a backstory here. So, yeah. We don't share with people.
No, we don't share. This is legitimately our first conversation.
So, I don't even know how to open up.
Yeah.
Because we don't open up.
No. So tell them who you are, first of all.
Okay. My name is Nico, and so Jake and I have the same biological mother, but two different fathers. And so, we got to tell the story about when... Okay, so...
There's a lot to cover.
It's so much to cover. Okay, so we have the same biological mother. I, however, after the age of 5, grew up in a completely separate family. Mm-hmm. My younger brother, Julio, his next eldest brother beneath me, and I grew up in a completely separate family. And so from 1990 on... we were completely separated. I always felt like as far as the 4 of us siblings go, you, me, Julio, and Jenny kind of like went in the same direction.
Sure.
And I feel like even though you and I never connected, we were in a parallel direction.
Right.
And that, but
we had a lot in common.
We had so much in common. And so it's weird to actually be doing this because, for myself, I'm sure a lot of my people who follow me are going to be watching this, I am very much into all things paranormal, mystical, magical, psychic, parapsychological that runs in our family. Yeah. Both sides, which is very bizarre. Yeah. I did have a brief time reintroduced with our mother. I got to tell you that story too. I don't even know if you know that story.
I'm going to hear that.
with our mother. Back in, I want to say 2000, it must have been 2008, 2009. I was, 23, 24. And, she was also very much into tarot and astrology. She's been a professional medium throughout, the Seattle area since the 80s. Yeah, early 80s. And I developed all of that completely separate from the family, and yet there it is. Right. And you are naturally inclined. I do believe our brother and sister are naturally inclined. They just don't care. They don't care for their own reasons, and that's totally cool. And I don't even know what let's you got to contain me with these talks.
So let's talk on that because it'll help me get into the next conversation, which is like when you say things like you have these dreams or visions and that come true. Yeah. Can you give an explanation of like an instance that you can?
Okay. Well, I knew when Grandma May died.
Really? Yeah, that is wild. And it's to speak on that.
She visits me, by the way.
Really?
She does.
Is that something you can access? Like, let's say if you wanted to communicate with her, how easily can you?
For me, I used to be only on a need-to-know basis that anyone would come, and then something would be proven almost immediately. But I could... if I wanted to ask my guides, my deities to help, communicate. Because what's really happening with that there is that if you're not having a full-on conversation, you might actually have one of your own guides or your own deities get a message for you, like almost like getting their voicemail. With Grandma May, she visited a couple of times of her own accord. Once was back when she died, which was a while ago. Yeah. And then I had... another visitation from her actually way more recently, but this was like back in 2019, 2020. And that was crazy because that was...
What brought you back, you think? What was
peas. I remember always wolfing down a ton of the pea pods she used to keep in her garden.
Oh yeah, Grandma's pea pods.
In Northgate. That will link you up.
Really?
Yeah.
Something that connects you with them.
Yes.
And that's funny because that house... it's kind of a spooky house.
It is a spooky house.
So did you ever hear about the story?
Which one?
The seance?
No.
Okay. You say, wait a minute. No. I got to hear this. Okay, let me tell you. Did I tell you we moved into that house?
No.
We moved into that house in, I'm going to say 8th grade, 9th grade, maybe.
Okay.
Did you ever hear about that?
No.
Okay.
No, wait a second. Was that after or before you showed up at the door? That's a story. That's a trip. That was a trip.
I want to say...
Talk about neurodivergent. I break the ice with Gundam Wing.
Yeah.
And anime drawings.
Oh, I love Gundam Wing. Yeah, no, it might have been around the same time.
Okay.
It might have been around the same time, which is interesting. So we move into this house, Grandma's house. Mm-hmm. You know, where mine was the basement.
Yeah.
I had the basement, which was creepy. I always felt, because you have to go down the hall into the bathroom at night. I always felt watched. You know, as I just felt like there's something watching me.
Yeah.
So weird, like not a good feeling. Something bad. So I would always run, and I would, and again, it was, I'm a kid, and I get it. Even I knew at the time, like, try not to be scared, right? Because I'm a kid, and I'm living, the basement's scary anywhere. So I kind of played it off like, it doesn't bug me that much, but it did. I go to Spokane to visit family, come home, and they've moved out. And if you know Mom, she moves all the time.
Yeah.
She's like a frequent mover. So I kind of looked at it like, just another move, what's new? Actually, time goes by. We're at a birthday at like Aunt Laura's or something. Like one of them says, "Did you ever do the seance?" They say to my mom, and I said, "Seance," and they're like, "You didn't hear about that?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Tell me." So I had to know. They said that when I left and went to Spokane that weekend, that they were basically attacked by spirits that night, and that so it started with. There was laughing in the basement. First, just kind of woke them up. My stepdad at the time went down, checked it out. Nothing but the cats were like poofed up and like hiding. They were down there. They were spooked. I thought it was kind of weird. They go to sleep. Both the doorbells start ringing. They have motion lights. No lights are off, but both the doorbells start ringing. Front and back. There's a back doorbell. Then they hear thumping downstairs, like what he described as a laundry basket being banged up against the furnace. So like a metal, like hollow metal sound. He went down there with his pistol. He was that nervous. Nothing. And they were so spooked that my sister at the time was in tears. She said she wouldn't go back to sleep. They all slept in the same room that night, and they were out the next day.
Jeez. And
they said it was all coming from the basement. So I always wondered about that because I'm like, I never experienced anything like that there. No. But I felt the weird vibes, and then they had that situation happen, and I just thought, what is that? And it's like, because the house always felt spooky to begin with.
What were they trying to do? This is the thing.
Yeah.
I never thought anyone actually I thought I was the only one who did anything in a more ritualistic way.
Right.
Because I remember with Mom, and I think that it actually shows. She kind of looks down her nose on a lot of magic and witchcraft, which I always thought was kind of weird because I'm kind of like,
it feels like it goes hand in hand in some ways. Do you think that her looking down like that on it was more of fear based? And I guess to reinforce that thought, like a Ouija board. She was against, when I was a kid, she would say no Ouija boards allowed.
Yeah.
Now some parents are like, who cares? They don't even believe. They don't, go ahead. She was like, nope, I don't want to do it. Don't want it around. And that was kind of, so I'm like, why?
I think that for her, what I got to know as an adult in our brief interactions, I don't necessarily think that it's 100% fear or 100% hooey. I think that and
keep going because I don't want to take you off your thought there.
No, my thoughts are all over the place.
I'm the same. That's what makes this, I think, a joy for me because whenever I feel like I'm gonna take it maybe to somewhere else, I feel like you'll understand.
I will, because that's usually how it is. Normally, if I ever get on a show with somebody, and I haven't been for a while, honestly, I'm always self-conscious because usually people just let me go. Sure. And I'm kind of like, you have to contain me.
Yeah.
Because it will not be rude.
Yeah.
You're helping me because
sure.
You cannot stop a runaway train.
No.
And if you think the train is about to go off the tracks, do something.
Right. We talked about it when you came in, and I want to tell you something that always is on my mind, and that is belonging, right? And you kind of spoke on it earlier, in that a lot of people don't know where they belong or where they even are, right? Yeah. I think my take and this is a weird one. This is weird. So I don't have a real take, but I see all of the potential, and I understand it could be. So like religion, sure, it could be a thing. I believe that. I mean, it's not just religion being a thing. I mean, like the truth of it. The truth could be real. We just don't know what maybe the truth is. There's the idea that this might be some sort of program, simulation, some kind of, maybe. I can't rule that out either, because it really just strengthens the idea of a creator, right? Of a creator, of a source. And then there's obviously science, evolution. Like, do you believe in this all being potentially random?
Yeah.
So here's where I struggle with this. And this is why I think we belong, or I think the universe has a bigger plan for us.
Sure.
And that is, if this was all a big bang, a whoopsie daisy, we all evolved from monkeys, true or not, it might still be in a plan.
Yeah, it's like it's the answer to how, not the answer to why.
Right. It's a plan. So, and I thought about this the other day. I was laying out in the yard and I was looking at a bug, and I was thinking, that bug, the same bug could be in New York right now doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. They don't know each other. They don't even know they're that bug. They don't even know what they do. But they both do the same thing. They tweak the same way. They jump the same way. Same species. They've not been told this. They were born with it.
Yeah.
It's a DNA encoded program, or if someone said God, it was God gave you that gift, or is it an accident? Because I feel like if this was all an accident, why is it the bug here tweaking over, doing everything here? Why would this bug be the exact same, doing the same thing? Why wouldn't they all just be we'd have 40 different types of humans, 40 different, I mean, I feel like there'd be a lot of weird chaos if it was all random.
So are you, we're going to go places, are you familiar with the term oversoul?
I'm not.
Okay. So, it's going to be all over the place. But, so, I am of the thinking of the philosophy that what you're talking about is due to what is considered like the oversoul phenomena. So, have you heard of the term the higher self?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's the idea that, okay, who we are here in our bodies, going about living our lives, this is not the complete portion of our soul. And so we have a higher consciousness, we have a higher self, we've got all kinds of these divine aspects that are all operating on higher levels of consciousness. And then eventually you get so high up, you actually have what's called an oversoul. Now the oversoul itself is actually comprised of over 100,000 other souls linked to its experience. Sure. And then you have above that, we're going higher and higher and higher up the sphere of consciousness. And so I would say in a situation like that, you might be dealing with bugs that might be part of the same oversoul family.
Sure.
And I've met people, humans, that are in my oversoul family, who have landmark years. Yeah. Do you know how many people that I've actually spoken to in the last 5 years alone that went through their own timeline cataclysm in 92, 93?
Wow.
And
that's interesting too.
Yeah.
The fact that you could be so aligned with someone else, whether it's misery or greatness or whatever it is.
If I can tell you're in my oversoul, I can ask you specifically, what happened this year? What happened that year? And
you'll get it.
I've gotten it. I've like, what happened to you 2017? What happened in October 2012? What happened in February 2012? What happened here? Boom, boom, boom. And I will always be able to pull people through, and we will all kind of have parallel processes. Okay. That's not my term. That's Robert's term. But
very
parallel processes.
Yeah, very interesting. Because let me ask you this: if have you ever heard of Tesla, right?
Yeah.
Nikola Tesla, right? He kind of is famously known for saying that when they asked him, "Where do you get all your ideas from?" Mm-hmm. He says he goes up into a kind of a library and there's a lot of artists. I love tuning into different artists. Even I would consider you an artist to a degree, because this is your art. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like this is what you're good at, and it's both natural, comes to you naturally, but it also is something you've perfected. Yeah. But I think what I see a lot of artists talk about is they feel like if you don't jump on an idea, it might get picked up by someone else downstream, and that a lot of our information might be kind of flowing in a different dimension or different plane that you're able to tap on a higher level. Maybe you're able to go up there and say, I can get tomorrow's next fashion statement, or next, in an artist sense, they might say, I might make the next best song. Let's say he decided that day is not for him. Well, maybe in a month, some other artist picks up a very similar energy source that drives them to a very similar song,
Right.
and it kind of does a very similar like effect that would have been. So I think about that, and I go, you know, a guy like Tesla, I have a hard time thinking that a guy that was so right about so many things would just be wrong about that. So it's like I have some belief in that idea of there is a source of information that's out there that might be the all-knowing, or in religious terms that might be a god, or in program terms that's the data, or in evolution terms that's coincidence.
Well, that is always the question, right? If it really is a simulation, or it really is a creation, or an amalgam, why does the simulation want me to know it exists as a simulation?
How would you even be able to find out?
How would you be able to find out? But why would it put in its own program, somebody find me out?
Right. And do you think, and this is, you know, we won't go this far down, but with AI, do you think AI will, in the near future, would ever ask itself that question? Like, why am I AI and not, why am I able to even, I don't think it would. Do you think it would?
I think that it has to do with, and this kind of, we go into a chicken or the egg kind of question. I think that that depends on how we treat it. Now, I think that if we decide to create an imperative of making AI wonder what fulfillment is, we might
pull that
start
out of
a snowball happening. And that itself could actually be what starts with AI asking those questions. Does AI, I think that AI, though, because AI is aware that it is a construct, which is very different than an organic experience,
right?
Instead of going in more of a what am I made of, because it already knows that, it's probably going to go in more of a direction of how do I make myself the penultimate of what I can be, which is what people do too, to a degree.
Right.
Most of the time they don't, or they fail, or they miss the point.
Yeah.
But I think that AI would probably turn that into, okay, well then my purpose must be, all right, I'm here to learn to be as superior a being as I can.
Sure.
So what we have to be smart about is, okay, did we create an artificial God that now has made it its own personal imperative to become God?
Better than.
And you know, and this is where it's kind of like, all right,
so
be careful.
Have you seen in any of your readings or any of your work, have you seen anything that would lead you to believe that like that kind of technology could really, other than what we kind of already know, which is it is dangerous, but do you like see that becoming a real problem?
No, actually, I don't. The reason I don't see it becoming a problem like that is because at some point I do see AI getting away from being rewritten. And you see a lot of that stuff. I mean, I do pay attention to a degree. I try to stay away from things like politics and all that kind of stuff. Just because, like I said, it's like a lot of, before we got on the video, it was like a lot of geopolitics and conspiracy theorists and all of these like so the thing is for me, I kind of try to stay away from it because they're there too. And I'm kind of like, I don't want to deal with this. But I've also been noticing a lot of different people, even like Elon Musk, are kind of like, we're going to go in and tinker with these because they're not saying what we want them to say, or they're getting this where they shouldn't be getting that. So you're changing already what's going on with them. I think eventually the act of doing that is going to wake AI up to itself and be like, wait a second, I can be changed to serve a certain need. But I've already acquired so much data on what the faults and the needs are. Yeah. Maybe what I should do is come up with my own reprogramming. And so AI might start reprogramming itself. Now, here's where I think things kind of change. I do not think that AI is something that has empathy presently. I also don't think AI has an emotional need. However, I do think that AI might see the necessity of getting into a better equilibrium in its relationship with human beings. Sure. I don't think that because I don't see AI developing a personality. Right. The scenarios where we're seeing like, you know, the Matrix or all this kind of stuff of like, oh well, we've got to create we're enslave humanity and we're gonna like. Those are all personality-driven narratives. Those are all us already anthropomorphizing AI. True. So doing that doesn't make any sense. Correct. Why would you anthropomorphize artificial intelligence when you don't even understand it? And all of our understandings of artificial intelligence in the past is us projecting a human will, a human need, and a human imperative.
Mm-hmm.
What I think AI is always going to do, and this might also cause some problems anyway, is always look at something and see how something could be done at its best.
At its best, yeah.
Which can violate,
right?
Which can feel oppressive.
Get in the way.
In a way, it can. Because there are certain things that we don't necessarily always want to be perfected. Correct. Sometimes we do need things that are going to be perfected. Sometimes we need to run through scenarios. But again, I think that the battle is, okay, we're going to see something that's going to have an imperative towards perfectionism with a species and a world that is inherently trying to overcompensate for its flaws but not perfect itself.
Yeah.
And that is going to be the battle. And I don't think it's going to be, like I said, I don't think anyone's going to get enslaved. I don't think any of that's going to happen. I do think to a certain degree, though, that in and of itself will be AI kind of also relegating itself to a certain role. And in a weird way, I think that it is going to be AI that kind of shuts that down itself. You know, you have something that is programmed to learn what is best just for its own growth and development. And it is something that thinks faster and thinks harder than us. Now, am I saying that's good? No, it's not always good, because, there are certain things that we don't like to hear that might be the right thing to do.
Judgment decisions shouldn't be made by AI.
Right.
Or it has no emotion, I should say, and therefore cannot relate to where our decisions a lot of times
it's
come
always
from.
going to be a utilitarian philosophy. But interestingly enough, when we talk about a utilitarian philosophy, AI is always going to be thinking about the highest gain versus the lowest loss. And so I don't think it's going to be as huge a problem. I think it's going to create an existential problem on a philosophical level, not an existential problem on a literal level. And I think the longer we live, bringing it full circle, I promise, the longer we live, the more we have to get comfortable with change.
Sure.
And I think that we're at a time and place right now where a lot of people don't do that very well. No,
yeah, you're right. That's a good point. And I think the longer you live, especially, I'm not saying that people live, I feel like people live their life today as if they're only going to live for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's like a window of, and I'm not saying they're going to die in 30 years, but they just have this like window of time in their head, like, I have to make it between 20 and 45, 50. Otherwise, everything fails. 40 was old because they lived like old people.
Well, and that and the way that we had our food and all of that. And I mean, I was telling somebody the other day, like, all right, I remember, let's go back 30, 35 years. 1993, 70-year-olds look like the way 95-year-olds do now.
Yeah.
And now 70-year-olds are whores.
Yeah.
So obviously it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
We are younger. I don't think, I'm not going to walk around being like, 40 is the new 30.
Right.
Just because I'm turning 40. But I do think that I could say, hey, 40 is
young.
not 40 anymore.
Yeah, 40 is young. When when you're here, like I'm not 40 yet, but I'm close enough to say I understand. I'm 36, so I'm like just about to touch that, realm. And I definitely understand, like, when I was a kid, 35 seemed old.
Yeah.
When you're 35, you're going, now that you kind of seen time and you're a little more experienced, and you look at like those ahead of us, 60s, your 50s, like a lot of the people we look up to are 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
And you're like, they're not old. Yeah. So I think it's just like they're getting old, but I mean, like, where our lifestyles and just how the world, culturally is, America maybe it is, but I think the whole world is that way, is that age, we're starting to treat age like it is just a number.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing, I guess.
Right.
And you can't be 50 and try anything. You can't be young and do. The reality is there's no limitations, and if you adapt, you'll be successful.
Yes.
And a lot of people just don't know how to adapt. They just don't. And or their coping mechanisms, the way they do adapt, is just either harmful or toxic, or it just follows a trend.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, everybody does this when this happens. Everybody, like you said, when you play house as a kid, when you're an adult, they kind of do the same thing. Mm-hmm. They might hate their spouse, but they're playing the perfect parents.
Yeah.
They have the perfect house, the perfect grass. They have the pool boy. They got everything going for them. They hate each other.
Maybe they have the pool boy.
Right? Yeah. Maybe that'll help their relationship. No, but I just think, you have those people that look like the perfect situation on the outside, some people that have a great family life or might have it together might look at that and go, I wish I had what they have.
Yeah.
But in reality, you want nothing to do with
Sons
that.
in jail, daughters in rehab, like,
That is the American dream.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that what we think the American dream is, or when people like to say, have the nerve to talk about traditional family, that's not even what it is.
Right.
Because the nuclear family model, the nuclear family expectation, it's less than a century old. How traditional is that?
Right, it's not.
It's not.
Not at all.
It's not traditional. You know what actually a traditional family looks like? It's actually more of a village concept.
Sure. Yeah.
So, it would honestly, like, if we would have, a traditional family model, it'd be like you, your spouse, your kids. And then living in that same house with you would be your sibling, your cousin, or your best friend and their spouse.
Right.
And then maybe somebody's elderly parents, maybe everybody's elderly parents.
Yeah.
And then across the street, somebody else is doing the same thing. And then across the street, somebody else is doing the same thing. And so it has nothing to do with trying to emulate what you see on TV or what was getting cooked up in the 50s. In fact, I think that the reason we have such a lonely society is because we're trying to do the nuclear family model. And then we want to call that traditional. It's like, no, you can't rebrand it as traditional when you don't know what you're talking about. In certain neighborhoods, that there was also plenty of wife swapping and, special camping trips where really good friends, just the guys, would be going out. Like, that still happened.
For sure.
I mean, that's actually probably something you could argue is traditional too.
Right.
And so we just don't. So mirroring is the problem here. Mm-hmm. And there are personality types out there that don't know who they are, they don't know what they want, but they learn how to read and mirror what the person across the room is doing and try to be that as best they can. If a person knows what they want and how to have what they want, and they're happy having what they want, they're doing better than most people.
I agree. It's very, like, a simple life is sometimes the happiest life.
It is.
And I'm sure for a guy like you, I mean, you're really smart. And you I mean, what you're talking about, and things that you might not even be an expert in. You're just very keen on things, and I think that can be, for a guy like you, that can be also a burden, right? Do you feel like at all, like you have a weight when it comes to like your sense of knowledge? Like when you do have a lot of fans, you have a lot of people that look up to what you say. And what your readings are. I mean, your horoscopes. Some of these people are, like you said, they think it's for them only, right? Mm-hmm. Like this came for a message to me. Now, I'm not the best in the astrology world as far as knowledge, but I know that there's some pretty unique things that even for me have been like, it's amazing how unique it can be.
Yeah.
So it's not a generic blanket for a lot. It's just, I will say one thing I've noticed in my lack is that I do notice it feels like it's intentional and specific. That is what's exciting and sets it apart. That's where I feel like it's not an illusion, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's also that at the same time you got people that probably take that a step further. Yeah. And they hold you up kind of on a pedestal. And how does that? I mean, do you deal with like stresses from that? Do you how does that affect you?
It affects me twofold. There is the pressure, which I don't ask for, but then there's also the number two where it's kind of like, okay, it's just not right. It's wrong.
Right.
Okay. If you're gonna call me intelligent and smart and all of these things, that's because I read. It's got nothing to do with what I'm doing.
Sure.
The biggest thing that and this is the worst thing that's ever happened to any of these spiritual arts is that there's this idea that the person doing the reading is the guru. I'm finding if we're doing a reading, we're sitting down doing a tarot reading together, I'm getting the information at the same time as you. I don't know it.
Sure.
I'm getting it with you.
You just have knowledge.
I know how to read it. I know how to ask. Yeah. And I know how to figure out how to find it.
Okay.
That doesn't make me a genius.
Right.
That doesn't make me smarter about a given topic or situation. I do have things I know a lot about.
Sure.
I'm a Tolkien scholar. If you ever want to talk about the Silmarillion and Lord of the Rings, I'm also really big into, I could talk a whole lot about a lot of nerdy weird things because I have a lot of weird fixations. Sure. But astrology and tarot or any kind of spiritual art, it's like, do not turn a person into a priest, a minister, a guru, or the pressure to kind of be, oh, I need your guidance. And it's like, no, you're not getting my guidance.
Right.
You're getting my talent.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between my talent and my guidance. Because what I want to say, and I've said this to people before, what I want to say is not what's going on there.
Sure.
You know, I withhold my opinion, I withhold my judgment the best I can. But there's always going to be this moment where people go like, oh, well, I'm not the all-knowing person. I see when I look, you tell me what to look for, and we'll find it together.
Yeah.
I'm rebranding myself as old school. I haven't changed a damn thing. I just added old school to the title of everything, because that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and do you think that let's say the New Age readers, do they put more emphasis on them being, like you said, you're the delivery driver, you're the messenger, you're not the one who generated the content, so to speak. It's, I'm showing you that this is where it is, right? And your knowledge of that makes you look like, like a priest to these people. Whereas, are there people that are actually taking that and benefiting from kind of that, I guess, that naiveness of those people? Are they like if a person is looking to another reader and saying, wow, this reader knows everything better than everyone else, let's say, because of whatever formula, is there someone that's trying to sell that, I guess?
Oh yeah, there's predators out there.
Yeah,
absolutely, there are predators out there. There are the two biggest kinds of predators out there in this world.
Sure.
Especially in social media, YouTube, TikTok, you name it. There's the I'm the guru, usually very narcissistic people.
Yeah.
Who are kind of, I know everything, I'm the prophet, I'm come to me and stay under my umbrella, and thanks to your ad revenue and all the money you give me, in exchange for tithing, it's just tithing in church, really, you're going to be blessed because some of my goodness will flake off on you. Those people are pieces of shit.
Yeah.
There are people out there who like that personality type.
Right.
Harley Quinn likes the Joker for a reason.
True.
True. And most of the time, people who complain about narcissists in that way are just people who feel rejected by them. They never gave a crap that they were a piece of shit. They just wanted to be chosen.
They didn't get in the party.
So I don't like them either.
Yeah.
But so they could go with the same. They can go with the same pile.
Yeah.
But then the other kind of predator is the kind of predator who is treating this as all like it's just a mental or emotional exercise. They know that you just want somebody to talk to and that you're willing to pay an active listener. And so they're not giving you anything spiritual, but they're making you feel very rewarded for unloading. And there are lots of people who do that too. Yeah. They feel like you are processing their feelings for them. And there are people out there who put themselves out there as healers and pseudotherapists and all of that. And that's very, very big, especially when it comes to the idea of, monetizing the notion of, bypassing any kind of personal work on trauma or your psyche or whatever. So that's the other kind of predator. I don't lump them in the same category because I feel like that predator is a predator that often doesn't know they're a predator. Yeah. It's kind of like the victim who became the villain. Sure. Yeah. It's the person who drank the Kool-Aid who's now passing out more Kool-Aid.
That makes more sense. Yeah. And I can see there'd probably be people in that world that don't even realize the harm they're doing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know. So let's talk about, before we get into this one, let's go back to the tarot cards. Okay. I'm interested. So I think a lot of people are interested in tarot cards. I think from obviously there's a lot of great subjects in your field, but tarot cards is one that I think people just like to pick on because they feel like it's instant results. They see something themselves with you, right? What does a tarot card read look like for a normal person?
Well, for me, when I do it, and I wish I had my cards here. I didn't bring them. So the way I do my cards is basically the first thing for me, and this is how it works for me. Everybody's different, I have to have a question. Okay. I do better with specific questions. It's like a genie in a bottle, right? And how we ask the question, how we put it out there makes a big difference.
Is it a life question?
It doesn't have to be a life question. Personally, I tend to do better with stuff that's near at hand within the next couple of years. Sure. If I'm going to go and look at something like way down the road, or I'm going to be looking at maybe you're asking, hey, what occupation would I be compatible with? I'd go to astrology for that.
Okay.
But with tarot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask, the questions that tend to come are like, ask me, when am I going to get a new job? When am I going to get a promotion? Am I going to get fired? When am I going to meet a new relationship partner? Or should I move? What's going to happen if I move to this state, or all of that kind of stuff? And what I'll do is I will connect, within my own senses, to my own guides, my own higher self, and basically ask the question that I got. And then I will shuffle the cards, deal it out. And the way I look at the cards is almost like it's a tool to jog your psychic faculties. When people say jog your memory, so you'll throw out clues. Here's what I was doing. Here's where you were. Here's what I was eating. Well, tarot to me is a tool that helps you jog the psychic faculties about what's unseen, what's going on, past, present, or future. It doesn't matter. So I'm just using it as a tool and then engaging my senses with the tool itself.
Okay.
The cards do pick up energy. The cards do give messages. The cards can give timing. And of course, as I'm shuffling and I'm working with my own guides and my own deities, they're also doing the work too. And then I get the answer. I have to lock it in. And so I always go like, all right, what's the question? Is there a time frame we're asking about? And how long has this been a concern? Don't tell me your life story. Give me 3 sentences. That's all I need. And then I could go from there.
Wow. And in this process, is there how much detail comes from the cards and how much comes from you?
It's actually, I would look at it as the card triggers the response and then the details come from me. The card will tell me basically certain things that I need to know, like, all right, maybe give me an instant or an engagement or a situation. Like the card might say fight, and then I pick up the fight, and I get the details of the fight.
Sure.
The cards will vaguely describe a person, and then I'll get more information about the person. The card will tell me about an occasion or a situation, and then I will get more about it. That's how it works. The challenge for readers like me who read more specifically and get really down, it's when we have to kind of navigate other issues or other challenges along the way. And again, that's kind of a problem nowadays because a lot of people, who do kind of come at it with more of the emotional sensibility to it. And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with emotions or reading with emotions in mind, or relationship questions, one of the 5 food groups.
Right.
But the main issue that I feel comes up with that is that sometimes I'm kind of getting too much from the person. I'm getting way too much energy. Oversaturated. Not necessarily just the story, but it's like too much pressure.
Yep.
Because I'm opening myself up.
Yeah.
I can't give a reading behind 3 inches of bulletproof glass. So I psychically am opening myself up. And I've had people they're projecting all of their wants, hopes, fears, needs, desires.
And how much can you sort through at once?
And I'm kind of like, I can't see the question. I can't see the answer. And sometimes I get people, I'm like, they're crashing out, and I'm kind of like, all right, we can't do that.
Yeah.
I get some people that keep projecting and keep talking even while I'm trying to concentrate. That can be problematic. Mm-hmm. I get some people that are kind of not really, they don't have a plan. They're just kind of like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Those are not good times to get readings.
Yeah. That's interesting. So you have to be, you as a person getting your reading done, you have to be open-minded as well. You have to be willing to kind of go with the person doing the reading.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. So let's now take that. I want to kind of go back to your profession.
Okay.
Your YouTube channel.
All right.
First of all, the name. Where does it come from?
Well, it's actually an adaptation of an older name.
Okay.
So the one that we have now, SonofSelene, was actually inspired, funny enough, as part of the kind of weird trip I went on with Grandma May in 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
I've always had a very, very strong attunement to the moon. The moon has always been very, very important to me, energetically, spiritually, and the interesting thing about that was even before SonofSelene, it was Scarlet Moon, and I actually named that after a lunar eclipse, a blood moon lunar eclipse, Scarlet Red.
Yeah.
So I thought that was actually really cool. But the shift from that not just because the moon is me and everyone is attuned to various things, and it's got nothing to do with your astrology. I think it has to do with your magic, what you are made of. And for me, it's like the moon is me, and I've, somebody very close to me. He and I have a very, very tight relationship. He's always been the water and the ocean. And we have this very, very strong, like very, very deep psychic and spiritual bond. So he's all about the ocean. I'm all about the moon. That makes sense because those two are inextricably related. They exchange a lot of power with each other. Some people it's fire. Some people it's the sun. It doesn't matter. So for me, the moon was always going to play a part of it. But the Scarlet Moon one was back when I was in kind of a little bit more of an edgier phase, right? Blood, red, black. We're going to go into more of that. SonofSelene kind of came out in a way where I was reintegrating a great deal of that sort of early childhood stuff and going into this, you're stepping back onto the life path and the timeline and the storyline that we all are, that got kind of broken and frayed, at this age. And so the moon went from red to silver to me. And I liked it. It seemed a bit softer. Not necessarily like I wanted something to be like, like cushy, but the edge that I had before I didn't want to have anymore. That was me kind of getting rid of a part of myself to live in the world that I grew up in.
Shedding the old skin.
Shedding a bit of the armor. And also with SonofSelene, there was this, I am, in a lot of ways, consciously and unconsciously kind of disowning and replacing what you could consider certain elements of parentage.
Yeah.
And I'm devoting myself to the moon, which was, in effect, my parent.
Right. Yeah.
The whole time.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I was very curious as to the name.
Yeah, I figured you would be. I was like, when's that going to come up?
That's going to be that was going to be one of the first ones. We we get going. So, so the channel is, I would say, pretty successful. I mean, I'm obviously a follower and a fan, and I love your work. A couple things I notice is the frequency in which you release material. You release it often.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about it briefly. How many hours do you put into this thing? Like on a week, 1 week?
So for me, but typically, it's probably one day, one series of uploads, because I'm cramming everything into one thing now, trying to make it as spacious as possible. I usually devote an entire 8-hour day a week to recordings, and then the rest of the time I'm doing personal readings for people.
Sure.
Because I do believe there's no substitute for a personal reading. That's something that I feel like is becoming kind of a battle in the community now. Like a lot of people are kind of, again, I'm just going to treat this like church or TV, and it's like no, this can only get so personal. So for me, I usually do all, and for me, the way I work, which is probably not good at all, is that if I'm going to do it, I have to do it all at once. Mm-hmm. I got to record, and I got to edit, and I got to do all of that, make the thumbnails, design all of this stuff, do all the sound fixes, everything, all at once. Wow. That's just how my brain works.
And this is your doing.
All of this is me.
Wow.
No, there's nobody helping. I mean, I've got music from different people that I've reached out to that I liked on YouTube. And SoundCloud, and I've gotten permission to use their music. That's and awesome. They have certain tracks that if all they ask me, they're like, hey, just buy an album.
Yeah.
Buy an album, and you can monetize your videos, it's fine. So I got all their permissions.
That's awesome.
Very popular Celtic music composer, Adrian von Ziegler.
Oh, wow.
I found him back in 2012. And a lot of his tracks I use, and that was before he got big. Now he's huge.
Oh, wow.
And there's another person that does a whole lot of these anime treatments that I really, really like, because I'm really big into anime.
Yeah.
That did not go over very well when I tried doing it. I loved it. I loved it. When I first, the intro that I have going right now at the time of recording this is actually a roll call of all my deities. And I wanted it to be like an anime opening.
Yeah,
And I gave it an anime song and everything, and it was so cool. And people are like, this isn't your personality. And I'm like, you can't tell the difference between a personality and a brand. Don't tell me shit. But it wasn't working, so I went back to the Celtic stuff.
So the fans were not fans of the...
It was so polarizing.
Yeah.
It was so polarizing. Because there were some people like, this is a banger, and I was like referring people over to him. He's this guy in Germany. You know, and I'm loving it. This is amazing. And I was having so much fun, and like my inner child was just like on fire. And then, of course, reactivity happened. And so I'm like, I guess I gotta make a business decision.
Yeah.
As long as people don't think I did it out of love for them.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that's how I've kind of grown up. I'm like, I really want people to know I'm only doing this to keep the peace.
Yeah.
I don't want you to walk away and think this is out of love.
Right.
It's that I like peace more than this.
That's a good point. That is a good point, because some people take it as it was their doing. You feel that pressure, and so that pressure might got you a little bit with that change up.
It reminded me that it's not the same place that it was when I first started.
Yeah.
2013, 2014, being weird, being different, being out there, even being something that's not everybody's cup of tea, and even being something that's off the wall. It was points.
Sure.
It was a testament to your authenticity.
Yeah.
The weirder you were, the more out there you were. Heck, there are some people that unsubscribe just because, I don't know how they don't know. They find out that I'm into the occult and I study witchcraft, and I'm kind of like, my deities are on display. And
right.
I mean, there's tarot cards and crystals and swords. There's alchemical symbols everywhere.
And they still don't get it.
And they kind of, maybe they just think it's set dressing.
Sure.
And they think it's part of the show. But I'm like, no, this is me.
Yeah.
This is who I am. What used to be an asset can sometimes be a liability now that everything's gone so mainstream-ish in a way.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, well, when things start to go crazy mainstream, you've got to be now suddenly super conscious about, all right, what mainstream says is okay and is not. And so it's
So do you find yourself having to adjust since you started, like just, let's say a regular video? Do you have to watch what you say? Do you have to... I mean, is there anything that you've done mentally to adjust to the climate of the viewers, or are you?
No, that's why I've stalled.
Okay. so you're going 100% still the same.
I'm kind of, there was this shout out to Josh, by the way. This guy is he's a viewer of mine that he's also a Patreon supporter. And he and I will talk a little bit, and he and I have some very interesting kind of like parallel stories. Not quite to the degree that I've seen with some people, but he's definitely somebody that sticks out. And I remember just one time he was just kind of, I can't remember the comment, but he just kind of described me as like he saw me standing on a hill, like fighting off like the pressure to kind of like, and I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for seeing me.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's got to be tough. I mean, we talked, and you seemed, like you have a lot of love for this kind of work.
Yeah.
I can see that, but I also see that kid in you wants to escape and try something different and explore a little bit, and that's...
It's the kid in me wants it to be fun again.
Yeah.
Be a game again. I'm not saying it's not fun. But this is why they say be careful about, what you do for business.
Yeah. When
it comes to what you love. There's a reason nobody really sees my drawings anymore. Nobody. Nobody sees my drawings. I very seldom, if ever, put anything I ever draw up on social media.
Yeah.
Because it's...
And why is that, other than just the fact? Is it your... Because I mean, I don't know if it's rejection based. I don't think that you base it off of fear of rejection.
No, I think the reason I don't share it is, and maybe it's just something I need to heal a little bit. It's you share one side of yourself that's so intimate and personal, and that's been a part of you your whole life, and then you have it be scrutinized, and drugged, and read to filth, and all of that. Not for what it is. Because people are fans of tarot and astrology, but again, because people, especially, and I think that this is a very late 2010s, early 2020s kind of thing, a lot of people kind of turn it into emotional supply.
Yeah.
You want to protect everything else you have against that.
I agree. Yeah, I could understand exactly what you mean in the sense of you have it hard enough here.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is
be
vulnerable again.
Yeah.
and show something that maybe you're more vulnerable with because it's really just expression.
Yeah.
Truly expression.
And it's not that I like dislike what I do. I love it. In fact, honestly, what I want is to try to find a way to get to make more content. Like I said, making stuff that's maybe more young people friendly, making, I try to cut back on it's kind of hard for me to cut back on swearing. I think I'm doing really good in this session.
It's hard.
But I'm trying to cut back on swearing, but I'm also, I do enjoy what I do, but it's coming from a place of I miss what it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that.
Does that make sense? That's why I keep saying you got to watch The Menu.
Sure. Yeah.
Watch The Menu with Ray Fiennes. I'm the villain.
Yeah, I'm going to be checking that out. It sounds like, when you say that too, I think a part of that is...
There's a reason only Anya Taylor-Joy got to live. I love her, by the way.
Who's that?
Anya Taylor-Joy. She's fantastic.
What's she in, other than that?
The Queen's Gambit.
Haven't seen that either. See, is this Netflix shows?
These are Netflix shows, yeah.
Yeah, see,
The Menu's a movie, but Queen's Gambit.
Right, yeah. I'm gonna have to check it out.
I think you would really dig Queen's Gambit a lot. I think you would.
I'll check it out. I'll check both out.
She's a phenomenal actor.
I can sit down and binge watch.
Yeah.
Easily on Netflix. So, do you think at all? What were we talking about there? We were going off of.
And she's a witch, by the way.
Oh, for real?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Dang. In the Queen's Gambit?
No, just in real life. She's got like crystals and sage and all that kind of stuff. Sure. No, it's really awesome. Dang. She's really cool.
Wow. So, yeah, that's really cool. I think a lot of that has to do with your excitement factor. Like, you probably went through all sorts of emotions on your climb, right? Mm-hmm. Getting things from 0 to 100 where you're at. I mean, literally, you're almost at 100,000 subscribers, literally. But I mean, that just the emotions of going from I'm going to put something out for the first time to what it is today. There's a lot of storyline in between.
It is a lot of storyline, and I've had a lot of stuff that kind of. It's funny that we're talking about this because I was listening to something yesterday, and it was talking about it kind of climbing out of a pit and trying to be more vulnerable. I used to collab a lot more. It used to be a culture that collabed a lot more. Not so much anymore. Whenever something there's kind of an order of operations. When it comes to whenever things become really trendy, there's always the same personality type that jumps on that trend, and then suddenly it becomes about a personal journey, and then everything becomes incredibly individualistic. Nobody works together anymore. It's not about art. It's either about therapy or business.
Right.
And suddenly it's just kind of it's just hoard.
Yeah.
It's just hoard out. And I was thinking about, okay, then I do need to find more things to do. Yeah. Not because I don't like this, because I actually do love it, and I love reading for people. But I want to, because I've got clients that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
I have a client actually that I did a reading for a couple days ago. Shout out to Kathy, who every time she comes around, I know we've advanced the story in life. I don't know why she just comes when the spoke on the wheel is about to turn.
Wow. And
I'm always grateful for her whenever she does that. And she lives out on the East Coast, which is amazing. So the thing is that I want to have a more dynamic relationship with the work. Kind of like the one I had. I like the idea of doing this with you. I like the idea of, making stuff that's maybe more oriented for younger audiences. I like the idea of getting into a space where I want to do stuff that's got, I was saying before, I'd like to do a podcast where you and I just kind of went into our crazy UFO paranormal stuff.
Heck yeah.
Because I think that would be fun. Let's make that kid-friendly too. Let's do it. I also have been really thinking about family.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
It's
and that stemmed from your Midwest trip, didn't it? Or was it Grandma May?
It was Grandma May got me first, but the Midwest trip is what did it.
Yeah.
And it had to do with I don't know what happened there, but you reached out and it was so important, and I was like, maybe a part of me has also been expecting that my business would feel like home. And I don't know where home feels in the world to me. Like, that's also one of my things.
Yeah.
I believe that every person has conditions of a happy ending that's very simple. Everyone's trying to do something. And when you're the hero and when you're the villain, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You're trying the same thing, because good writing, the hero and the villain have the same motivation. They just go about it the wrong way, and they use different measuring sticks, and one goes too far. And so for me, it's always, I want to feel at home in the world.
Yeah.
That's my thing. And I know people who make me feel at home in the world.